Good morning, friends. Today we will cover Chapter 5, Serialization with Array Field Members. So far, in all our Java Pojo classes, we have the private field members as primitives like long, double, or boolean, or a string. Always have the implement serializable, so that's why we didn't have anything in that. But in this scenario, we want to have a array of primitives or array of objects as its private field member of that Java Pujo class. So in this scenario, only thing that we need to ensure is that every element in the array should be serializable. For example, for say array of primitives, we don't need to care because primitives are always serializable. But for array of object references, right? So for those object references, we have to ensure that that object should always be implementing serializable. Otherwise, the serialization will fail. So I have my IntelliJ open. So let's start coding it. So let's create the package first. So Alt insert to package, and I will mark it as Chapter 5 Serialization with Array Fields. Chapter 5 Serialization with Array Fields. Okay, so spelling is good. And similarly, I will create the same package in our test. Alt insert package Chapter 5 Serialization with Array Fields. Okay, so this was our previous class, Java Pojo. Here we only need to have one more array as our private field member. So just to save some time, I will copy the previous one and make some changes in that. So Control C and then Control V, and I will change the name of this something as with market data with array fields. Okay, so I have this class open now. Let me first of all remove this. So as we have discussed in our previous chapter of versioning, so right now I'm seeing a warning here because I didn't have any serial version UID. So this warning is shown here. So I will press Alt Enter, create constant field in this with array fields. So the ID will automatically generate this serial version UID for me. That's the one thing. And besides that, let me remove all these getter and setter methods and toString methods first. And yeah, all these things that we have copied from the previous one. So here I had to create an array, right? So I will have so if I take a primitive one, right? Primitive ones are always like serializable, but here in this case I will choose a string array, and I will mark it as market data providers. Okay, so market data is a string array, and we know that string always implements serializable. So there shouldn't be any exception when we try to serialize this. Control Alt L to format it. And now I will write the getters and setters methods. So Alt insert, getter and setter. Click on this, choose all, and press OK. So we have got all the getters and setter methods here. And also I will override the toString method. So for the same thing, I use Alt insert toString, and the ID will help me to generate this toString method. Okay, so it's using arrays.toString. So the only difference here is that we are now having this private string MD providers, and we'll see that how it is there any impact for this while we serialize and deserialize it. Now let me create a similar test class here. So I will Alt insert, I'll go to test package Java class, and I will write market data with array fields test. Okay. To save some time, I will copy the previous test class unit tests and the setup method, and then we will make the changes that are required for this particular array fields test. So let me first copy this. Okay, so I copied from the previous, and now let me make some changes here. So for the setup method, we need to change the name of the serialized file. So I'll just take the this class name and mark it as this. And so this part is looking good. So now let's go to the test serialize unit test case. So here I will change the name as test for Java Pojo with array member fields. Okay. And again, I will change this our Java class for chapter 5, which is market data with array fields. Okay. And now I need to set the MD provider. So in this Pojo object, Pojo class, we have this extra field here. So so I will instead create it here because I will need the same later on. So what I will do is that I will create a test class final level. So string MD providers. Okay. And I can directly initialize it here. So I will mark it as routers, MD provider, or Bloomberg, and Chaix maybe. So these are just like random names for market data providers, just for our test case. So here, once we have declared this field here as string array, so the same I will declare it here. So here I will just pass this market data dot set. We have got a setter method here, and I will simply pass this string array. And then we serialize it using file output stream, buffered, and object output stream, write object. So this looks good for our test serialize. But before you run this, let's also change this. So I will have test deserialize method, where I will again change the name as with array member fields. Okay, and I need to change this casting to point to the exact object for chapter 5, which is market data with array fields. So this part is good, and all these assertions are good, same as the previous chapter, but only difference is that I need to check for the string array that I stored. One thing important here is that the array, in this array, we see that we are having 3 strings, right? So this is array index 0, 1, and 2. So when we serialize this, the Java serialization is automatically takes care of the sequence. It will store it in the same array indices that we have stored. And when we take it out from the deserialize, I mean when we reconstruct the object, it will have the same index. So that is guaranteed that it will not be having the random generation of the indices of array. It will be the same index. So let's get this get MD providers. Okay, and then I will press Control Alt V. So it will give me. So I will just from serialize MD providers, and I will mark it as final var and remove this string. Okay. So first I can check that whether it's not null, because arrays in Java in Java are objects. So I will ensure that this is not null first. And also I can check the length of this. So it should be, the length should be 3. Here we are storing 3 string and 3 MD providers, right? So the length is 3. So I can assert that as well. So I'll just copy this just to, so it should be expected should be 3, and this should be dot length. Okay. So now we have checked whether it's not null, and the size of this array after deserialization should be 3. And now we can also check the sequence, that it should be exactly matching with what we have done. So all int I is equal to 0, I is less than from this dot length. Okay. I plus plus, and then we can assert equals. So we have got this MD providers at the top where we have declared it, and this should be exactly same as from serialize MD providers index. Okay. So this is what we have done. So we have got this extra string array. So we first of all, when we deserialize it, we check whether it's not null, the size is good as we expect, and each index is having exactly same string that we have stored before during serialization process. So we have ensured this one. Now there's a time to run the test cases. So let's run this test serialized unit test case. I run this. Okay. So green tick here. So it means that it's able to serialize it. Let's check that we have also created this class here. This file here where we are storing all the serialized bytes. And now let's run this test deserialize. Just click this one. So this is also looking good. So guys, just to revise this chapter again, it's exactly same as the previous chapter 4 or chapter 3 that we have done. The only difference was that we added a new string array here as our private field member, and then we wrote some test classes to assert that the arrays are stored in the same order or the same sequence as it was defined here. And when we deserialize it, we exactly get the same array object as it was declared before. So guys, this was all about chapter 5. In the next video, we'll cover chapter 6, which is serialization with Java objects as array. So here in the difference between chapter 5 and chapter 6 is that in chapter 5, we were having array as field members. But right now in chapter 6, what we'll do is that we will serialize the whole Java POJO objects as an array and see that whether it has, what's the implication of it in Java serialization and deserialization. So see you all in the next video.